Hello!
And
Hi.
we're live.
We're excited today.
Oh,
Not
I
really.
am excited. We get to talk about some Charli XCX here.
Sure. Yes, among other things. Hello, welcome. Us people talking on a recording right now is the Media Boat Podcast. If you don't know what the Media Boat Podcast is, well, first of all, welcome. Second of all, we are a podcast that is all about the media. That is movies, television, video games, and music. Not necessarily in that order, but some order thereof. This is another marooned edition of the Media Boat Podcast. We are remote from our relative locations here. Today is May the 20th, I
Yep.
believe. Yes,
Yep.
May
520.
20th.
It's
520.
520, y'all.
Yep, 520, y'all. Blaze it. Um,
Or
and
freeze it.
yeah, my name is Matt. His name is Mike.
I'm Mike. He's Matt. I believe this video is how that works there. Just pointing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, we are the Media Boat Podcast. We
True.
have lots of news and several thoughts too.
Yeah.
But before we get to all that, actually, yeah, let's just get right into it.
Yeah, let's just get right into it. We don't need to dwell on it.
No.
Let's go straight into movie news, skipping box office because there is none. We have a couple of stories this week. Our first story is about when we do return to the movies, when theaters reopen. What will we be seeing? Well, Christopher Nolan wants you to bet on his next film, Tenet.
Or rather, Warner Brothers wants you to go
Yes.
out and see Tenet.
So yeah, Tenet is shaping up to be the first big blockbuster after the pandemic ends. Warner Brothers currently sets the film for a July 17th release date, but if you think that's too soon, you're not the only one, because they have a stipulation that at least 80% of the global theaters need to be open by that time for them to hit that release date. This includes theaters in New York, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, which of course are the three biggest markets in the country. They alone make up 25% of any given movie's opening weekend. This amounts to 3,500 screens in the US and another 30,000 around the rest of the world. Warner Brothers needs these numbers, as the film cost around $200 million to make, and Christopher Nolan gets 20% of the first numbers, or of these numbers, as the film costs. Wait, I lost my
20% of first dollar
the first
gross.
dollar gross of this of his as part of his deal. Got it. So
Right. So that relies heavily on opening box office that,
yeah,
hey, the first time that this box office is opening, that those weekend grosses are where Christopher Nolan makes his money, because he doesn't usually take the salary, he takes points on the back end.
yeah. Except he probably made that deal before he imagined this scenario.
Well, he probably made that deal back when Inception and whatever other
Yeah,
film, was this just Inception and then nothing else? Dark Knight Rises.
you're not.
That's what it is.
No, it's well that and the other one, Interstellar.
Interstellar. Yeah.
Wow, the Christopher Nolan fanboy forgot that Interstellar existed.
Most people forget that Interstellar exists.
Fair
I am
enough.
not alone in this.
It's not. Um, so yeah, if Tenet doesn't release on July 17th, it would move to an August 14th release date, which then moves Wonder Woman 1984, which previously had that date, all the way back to December. I still frankly think that August is even generous. So we'll see how all of this pans out. But I'd imagine that even by August, there probably aren't going to be a whole lot of people ready to go to a movie again.
Well, no, I mean, definitely not. I mean, especially the way theaters are set up right now, where you're literally elbow to elbow next to people.
Yeah.
And even in some of the refitted theaters where they have lounge chairs, yeah, that is limited seating, but still, you're sitting directly next to someone. There's
It's
no
still
like
a risk.
middle gap for like lover seats.
Yeah, and it's an indoor place. And guidelines right now are saying, hey, if you are going to go meet people, do it outside.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't think
still,
you want to be sitting in a theater wearing a mask for 2 hours,
yeah, no one's going to want to do that.
eating popcorn somehow.
So yeah, I think that Warner is being extremely hopeful with all of this. I I could very well see a just big push to December for this.
I could even see it being pushed out to next year, although that would depend on like if it's in his contract that they have to have a film out this
Yeah.
year, then you would see a December push,
Yeah.
at the latest.
But we'll see. Nobody really knows how this all is going to shake out. So
No, but it does kind of tip Warner Brothers' hand that they're not going to hold this and release it on HBO Max.
yeah, exactly.
That because this is a $200 million film, that they definitely want some type of money, some type of profit back on this thing.
Right. And they don't want to do the math and figure out how much Nolan gets on a streaming release day.
I know. I mean, because we're not. I mean,
It's not the
what
same.
you
Not
could
comparable.
look at what Adam Sandler numbers that he gets.
Yeah.
Is that the closest you get to director streaming?
Guess so, right?
I don't know, but that does kind of segue real briefly. Speaking of Warner's, to news that dropped this week that DC's The Snyder Cut for Justice League will be released on HBO Max.
Yeah. After kind of being a running joke about whether or not it actually exists or not. One, apparently it does, and two, people get to see it.
One, it does exist, but it was unfinished. Two, Warner Brothers is going to spend about $20 million to fix it or finish it up. And three, it'll be on HBO Max next year, 2021.
Yeah.
Also, this is our one and only, basically, your warning that HBO Max comes out next week on the 27th.
Yep.
Literally 1 week from now.
Yep. Soon. Very soon.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to our second story today for movies. We have a new production studio coming up.
And one that I am excited for.
Yeah. Complete Fiction.
Yes, I know we are, but what is the name of the studio?
It's called Complete Fiction. The new production company has been formed with some big names. Baby Driver producer Nira Park and Baby Driver director Edgar Wright have teamed up with their long-term collaborators, writer-director Joe Cornish, who wrote and directed Attack the Block, and producer Rachel Pryor of The Kid Who Would Be King, to launch Complete Fiction. The new company will be based in both London and Los Angeles and will operate across film and television with 3 new series in development for Netflix. First up is Lockwood & Co., or Company, a supernatural action-adventure detective series based on the novels by Jonathan Stroud. Second is the sci-fi horror trilogy The Murders of Molly Southbourne from novelist Tage Thompson. And lastly, The City of Brass from S.A. Chakraborty, which is a historical fantasy series inspired by Islamic folklore. The business also has a number of ongoing feature developments with long-term producing partners working title. This also marks a decision by Wright to diversify his creative efforts and to take on producing roles on shows and movies by the next generation of writers and directors. Their first produced film will be Edgar Wright's upcoming Last Night in Soho, which they produced with working title for Focus Features and Film 4. This is cool. I'm glad.
I like this news completely. As you know, we're big Edgar Wright fans. And so seeing as him wanting to already kind of establish the next generation of filmmakers that, hey, I am all for that.
Yeah.
Seeing as he's also take some up and coming talent under his wing and serve as a producer.
Yeah, no, it's a great idea, and sounds like good stuff coming. And in a fortuitous, convenient circumstance of events, right now, the film with the Academy streaming right now is Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yes, and Aubrey Plaza is doing a whole live tweet event with it.
Edgar Wright also is on Twitter right now tweeting about it as well. So if you want to see running commentary during Scott Pilgrim versus the World, well, don't do it now because you're watching our podcast. But yes, if you want to see like the recap later, go ahead.
Oh, I will definitely be checking out the recap later. I love commentary on stuff like that.
Yeah.
Especially films that I love.
Yeah. No, that would be fun.
And yeah, this is going to be nothing but like all goodness coming out of this deal here.
Yeah, that sounds great. Alrighty, that's it for film news. Did you see any movies this week?
No. I mean, the only movie that just came out is Scoob.
Right. No, we have not seen Scoob.
We have not seen Scoob, and we've not seen Trolls World Tour. Well, you saw it.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't.
I said my sister saw.
Your sister saw it. Okay. Yeah. So no new movies. But seeing as Scoob did come out this week, 2 streaming home services, it'll be interesting to see those numbers compared to Trolls World Tour.
Yep.
And basically, that's going to be the big story either next week or the following week, where 2 companies just start putting these out on direct streaming.
I guess we'll see when those numbers start coming in.
Yeah, we will.
All right. Well, let's pivot right into television. We always start television with sports, and there are sports. There is a sport we can talk about.
There's literally sport happening right now in front of the TV from me.
NASCAR. NASCAR racing is back. You don't have a first name.
That's Kevin. Sorry.
Kevin Harvick.
Yes.
Won the first race back this past weekend.
Yes, and we all booed as he crossed the finish line.
So yeah, it is what it is.
2/3 of us booed as he crossed the finish line.
Yeah, so there's NASCAR happening right now, and again, don't watch it because you're watching us. But if you were, well, no, you're not because this isn't live. But
well, it's been rain delayed. Oh, they were supposed to race yesterday, but that got rain delayed. They're supposed to race earlier today, but that got rain delayed. They literally just started racing as of 10 minutes ago now?
Yeah.
And there was already a crash.
There you go. In other sports news, hey, I heard you like sports documentaries. Well, LeBron James likes them too. He likes them so much that he's going to produce one, but it's not about basketball. LeBron James is looking into producing a documentary about the Astros cheating scandal. You know, the one that just happened. So, yeah, I guess look forward to that.
Yeah, I don't know if he wants to investigate how they cheated, why they cheated, or maybe pick up some techniques on how to cheat.
Maybe.
Not that he needs it.
At baseball, specifically.
At baseball, yes.
So we can pull a Michael Jordan, go do that for a season and come back.
Yes, LeBron James learning the ins and outs of baseball to pull up a Michael Jordan.
We'll get to our Michael Jordan thoughts a little later in this.
Oh yeah, we'll get to Michael Jordan in a bit here.
Anyway, but first, before that, we have a little golf update for you. We've talked about this several times on the Sports Corner before, but the match is happening. Tiger and Peyton versus Phil and Brady. And I don't need to say first names there because you know who those people are. Right? I guess actually a couple of those are first names.
Yeah, the 2 golfers are the first names.
Yeah, they're first names, not the last names.
Actually, the only one that's not a first name is Brady. Because you can't just say and Tom.
Yeah, and Tom. Who the hell is Tom? I don't know. Yes, that takes place at Medalist Golf Club and will be telecast on all Turner networks and will be all for $10 million for charity relief efforts this Sunday. So, yeah, we've been talking about this on and off, but yeah, so check it out. It's still happening.
So, yeah, I don't know if you have anything else to watch or they're just going to bombard you as you're searching through TV Guide, just the match. But yeah, it's on True TV, TNT, TBS, CBS, whatever. I don't know. But it's on 4 different channels all playing this thing because I don't know. What else are they going to play?
Yeah, I guess what else do you got? So yeah, that's happening. So check that out on Sunday if that's your bag.
Yep. Also, new NASCAR race will be on Sunday as well.
Oh, and I did see, I guess, a little minor update for that baseball thing we talked about last week. From what I understand, the only update that I saw about it was that the state basically filed their report and sent it to the commissioner to take a look at. And that's the last
state of California?
No, Arizona.
Oh, state of Arizona, yeah.
Yeah, because they were basically trying to figure out whether they were good to go. Apparently not quite yet, but the commissioner's overlooking, I guess, of the league is looking at what data they have, and they're going to make a call soon. So we'll see.
Well, like you said last week, it's not just the players. It's the coaches, the staff, the security, and the media.
Yeah.
all
It-
together.
a lot of planning probably a lot of things need to be stacked in place before this actually takes place.
Well, and making sure. So there's another layer to that as well, in that they went to the players and to the in the MLB Players Association and asked that they take a pay cut
Yeah.
because they're not getting box office tickets from this.
Right. The other thing
So
I saw was that they were saying
some
that
of
the
the
league
so
apparently what?
so some of the players are actually like against playing because they're not going to be getting their full salary.
Yeah.
And this was on a reduced that they already implemented. So it's a second reduction that they're talking about.
Yeah. Then I also saw, just real briefly, and we can move on, that the league basically made some sort of statement that if a player tested positive, they would still continue the series. They would not stop sport. They would just isolate that person and move on.
That's not how that works.
No, that's really risky, and I don't know why the hell they said that, but
Right. Also, Mike Trout recently, the big face of the MLB, Mike Trout recently came out and said that if he had to choose between playing baseball and missing the birth of his child,
yeah,
he would forego baseball for a year.
yeah, no, and I don't blame him. Like, let the man see his kid. Like, the hell.
Because his new marriage and new wife,
Yeah,
first wife, only wife, new wife,
yeah,
is pregnant.
yeah. This is his first child. Like, he's
Yeah,
got
first child.
He has to be there. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how all this pans out. There's a lot riding on this, so we'll keep our eyes peeled for you. All right. Anything else in sports before we move on to television news?
No. I think we're good to move on.
Okey-dokey.
It's still happening.
Still happening. All right. First story in television takes us to Disney Plus, where the big news kind of popping all over the place last week was about the Percy Jackson series. The 5-book series is being set for a long-form production being developed at Disney Plus, a series, not a film. The author of the books, Rick Riordan, made the announcement on Twitter and followed it up by saying the first season of the show will follow the adventures of the first book, The Lightning Thief, and that he and his wife will be directly involved in every aspect of the show. The first 2 books of the series were made into feature films for 20th Century Fox, which both received mixed reviews from critics, but grossed decently, over $425 million combined worldwide. So yeah, I've seen a lot of feedback from fans of the books on Twitter talk about how they're a little worried about how certain characters and certain plot lines will be addressed in a Disney way. So yeah, there's a little trepidation about this, but overall, if you're fans of the books, it's just exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed. I enjoy Greek mythology, flat out. I'm a kind of like a nerd about it. So this is right up my alley. I did enjoy the first film, the Lightning Thief, that came out with Logan Lerman. Didn't see the second one. What is it called? The Sea of Monsters. Until it came in HBO video on demand. But I mean, when I watched it, I understood what they were going for. But yeah, as I understood it, like when the first film came out, and according to like fan reaction, that there's a lot of stuff that they either didn't or couldn't put in that everybody wanted. And seeing as they're going to take one book and stretch it out into a feature, or not a feature, I guess it's like a 10-hour feature,
Yeah,
an hour.
series.
Yeah, it's a full series. Give it like the HBO treatment-esque.
Yeah.
Where you have the Game of Thrones treatment, where you have the author directly involved in making this happen. That, yeah, I'm all on board for it. I think it's something that most people will be definitely to look forward to.
Gotta take a tome, sorry. Yeah. Seems like...
Yeah, this is also like part of like the good things that happen out of the merger with Disney. If you want to call this a good thing.
They have the budget to do something like this, so hopefully they'll do justice to it. All right. Our second story takes us from Disney to the CW, where there's been a surprise in the CW's Batwoman.
So this one caught everyone off guard.
Yeah, Batwoman herself on the television show, Ruby Rose, has decided to leave the series ahead of its already announced second season. The exact reason remains unclear, but for now, both Warner Brothers and the CW have committed to creating a second season with a new series lead. Last September, Rose had undergone emergency surgery for 2 herniated discs, but she has said that her health and safety were not among the contributing factors in making her decision to leave the show. Batwoman currently ranks as the CW's third most watched show, averaging about 1.7 million views a week, and averaging 0.5 rating among adults 18 to 49. In a joint statement, Warner Brothers, the CW, and Berlanti Productions said, "The studio and network are firmly committed to Batwoman's second season and long-term future, and we look forward to sharing its new direction, including the casting of a new lead actress and member of the LGBTQ community in the coming months." So that's interesting. They're basically committing that if they do find a replacement for Ruby Rose, it'll be somebody who, like Ruby Rose, was LGBTQ.
Which is part of the big reason that she was cast in the first place.
Right. I mean, that's
but yeah, her leaving,
weird.
Like, she is literally the star of that show.
Yeah.
This puts huge question marks around why now, and then who's going to be replacing her.
Yeah, I almost don't want to speculate because there's so many possible permutations of why that we don't have time to go into.
Oh, we don't have to, but trust me, there are videos out there about all this speculation. But we don't deal in rumors and speculation here.
Yes. So I don't know. We'll keep an eye on the story. We'll see who they ended up casting, or if Ruby Rose comes out and actually says what happened down the line. I guess we'll find out.
Currently, the hot take on the internet is to move from one of the side characters, move her into a main role by doing a face swap-esque, super comic booky type of thing.
I mean, that's the thing, is that you're dealing with comic books here. You could literally do anything. You could explain anything away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But that does mean that they at least have to have her back for one episode to explain the switch, not, oh, she's just randomly gone.
You could just use footage from other episodes. They could make it work.
You mean do her dirty like Natalie Portman in Avengers Endgame?
You could do it. Anyway, so that'll do it for television news proper. We have thoughts to get to. Let's do the quick ones first. Let's save the last dance for last.
Yes.
Save the last dance for me.
There's
first,
the
let's
joke.
Go through the quick ones. So yeah, you watched some remotely taped singing reality shows.
So not one, but 2 different reality shows ended this week.
Yes.
American Idol finale ended and The Voice finale ended. And their 2 productions could not be any different given the same parameters.
Okay, so let's talk about American Idol first, because I watched a little bit of this finale, and what the hell was that?
Yeah.
It seemed like nobody knew what the hell they were doing. I think the moment that encapsulates the feeling of the whole thing was they kind of had to, I guess, quickly kind of do the eliminations. And poor Ryan Seacrest is at, who knows where he is. I'm guessing his home, but he has like an entire American Idol logo up in lights behind him. And he's at a desk with a computer monitor. And he literally has to read the names of the people who are staying, the final 2, when there's 5 people on the screen?
Right.
And so the 3 remaining people are eliminated, right? I mean, you saw this. I don't have to explain it to you, but I'm explaining it to our listeners.
For those who didn't see it.
Because it was the strangest moment I've seen on television in a long time. He says the names, and he's like, those are your final 2, and that means blah, 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 so-and-so, and him and him, you guys are going home. And then there's this minute, I swear, a full 60 seconds where nobody says anything. Ryan is waiting for the guys to react. The guys, I guess, are waiting for Ryan to cue them. And so it's just Ryan Seacrest just kind of going and looking at them. They're just all standing there on their little Zoom calls. And at some point, finally, Ryan realizes that it's dead air because he's a professional, you would think.
Right.
And he goes, all right, now let's, and moves on.
Well, how else are you supposed to react when they say you're going home
But
and you're already home?
It was surreal. I was just like, what just happened?
Well, because that's like the signature line. Like you're, how are you going to change it to bye-bye, click, end Zoom call?
You've been eliminated. Please leave the Zoom call. Yeah, like please leave the meeting. Like, I don't know. And then when they did the reveal of the final winner too, that was awkward because the runner up, the second place, he's like on a porch with like a bunch of his family members and they're popping champagne when they've announced that he's lost. I was like, do they know?
Like, yeah, he doesn't have to suffer through this anymore.
I know, it was weird. It was surreal. So I don't know. And I watched some of like the celebrity duet / performances. Like I texted you about how the Rascal Flatts guy was literally singing into his AirPods.
Yeah.
Which was a weird moment. And yeah, I don't know. And what's her name? The lady who sings that song that sounds like Adele but isn't. I forget her name.
What's her name?
I don't remember.
Reba?
No.
BB Rexa?
No. No, she did do it with one of the other people. And I think the ultimate winner there. And this lady's just found herself in the Ryman Auditorium. I don't know how she got in there. She's the only one in there. Did she have the key? I don't, like, what? It was weird. I don't know. So what did you think about the rest of it?
It was weird contrasting this with The Voice, because The Voice was actually like a polished production.
Yeah.
Compared to American Idol, because it's like because that's the thing, American Idol like runs on that live audience, that initial feedback being right there, whereas The Voice, as has been like the majority of the show, which is reliant on the people singing the voices. You don't have to actually be there to enjoy The Voice. But man, the production value between both of them are just night and day from each other. Like they were both like given the exact same framework of, okay, everyone has to do this from home now.
Yeah.
But somehow The Voice was able to like provide people with green screens or a blank wall, and it actually like put actual production behind, like not just them singing, but them singing together, showing a full band together, and like actual like graphics in motion. And yeah, it did look at times overproduced, but given what they were working with, it was night and day between that and American Idol.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Maybe it's the budget difference, because I mean, even the regular season of American Idol pre-pandemic, like the ABC seasons have looked like rinky-dink operations compared to the Fox seasons.
Well, somehow, like American Idol, as we announced, got an extra year.
Yeah.
Or sorry, we're going to announce. That's this week. Yeah, they announced this week that they got another year. So that's going to be season 4 on ABC coming up.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was weird. And that's not even going into the frickin' that Lionel Richie got to have his "We Are the World" reprise, which was also a surreal moment where it's all this footage of like skylines, like all this city footage with pictures of people juxtaposed on the buildings. I'm just like, why? Why are we doing this right now?
I don't know. It like that was really weird.
The whole thing was just bizarre.
Yeah, but hey, at least they're done now.
Yeah,
until next year.
Free.
All right, but yeah, so we're done with those then.
Yeah. So, all right. What else? What else do we have to talk about?
Uh,
You.
and you, we watched Taylor Swift's
Yes.
City of Lover concert.
Yes. Immediately after the American Idol finale, they did a. They showed like well, but we talked about this last week. But yeah, we they showed a Taylor Swift concert that she had recorded in September in Paris, a couple weeks after the release of her album Lover, which we talked about on this very podcast last year. And yeah, this was like a short little hour long just concert film that was pretty fun.
Yeah, featured 7 songs out of the 14 on the album, and I actually enjoyed it. It made me realize, oh yeah, this was actually a good album. I really liked it.
Yeah,
So much
no,
so, I went back and listened to the album, and then because this was on Disney Plus, I listened to it again twice.
yeah. No, it's good, and I honestly like. I listened to some of the tracks. There's a Spotify album now that takes the singles from this performance. So if you want to listen to just the sound, that's available now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I listened to a couple of them, and it reminded me like, oh wait, like this version of the version that she did on this thing of Cornelia Street, I might actually prefer to the album cut because she ends up belting the chorus and like it changes the whole vibe of the song.
I was gonna bring that up. That Cornelia Street sounds a lot better here than it does on
Yeah,
the
it's
album.
like I don't dislike the production on the record. I think actually the part where the drums come in the second verse is actually really cool. But like without the kind of the stripped down production actually works for that song really well with just her and an acoustic guitar. So yeah, it was a neat little way of hearing like an acoustic version of some of the songs. And yeah, overall it was a fun concert.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, it is what it is. It's a one-time thing,
Yeah.
but given what we got, I liked it.
For contrast's sake, though, the night before it aired, I actually went to Netflix and I watched something I hadn't watched before, which was her Reputation tour that is on Netflix. Her last concert film, and yeah, I hadn't watched it before because yeah, I know I'm pretty vocal here on this podcast about kind of not totally caring for the Reputation era,
Right.
but you know what? It's growing on me. I'm turning the corner with that record. I think
Okay.
there's some okay stuff on it. It's obviously still not as good as the rest, but yeah. So that's there if you want a double dose of Taylor Swift concert footage.
All right. So let's get comfortable here because
Yes.
we got some stuff to talk about here with The Last Dance.
All right. Let's relax. Let's get our cigars.
Plenty of cigars. I got like 10 of them here.
Let's make a bad decision and order a pizza in Utah at the middle of the night.
You mean the only pizza place that's open?
Yep. Where 5 guys show up at your door.
And be the only one that eats the whole pizza?
I was so excited to talk about specifically the poison pizza. Because, like, what do you think Michael Jordan gets on his pizza?
So have you heard of the flu game before this?
No, I hadn't.
Yeah, so for context, you know nothing about Michael Jordan other than he's a basketball player.
I knew he was a basketball player. He was really good. They won a lot, and that he was in Space Jam. Also, I knew that he had retired twice.
Right. So going into this thing, you're pretty much
Technically
brand
3
new.
times. I just realized technically 3 times.
Yeah, because he came back after that.
Back a third
played
time
for the Wizards.
Yeah.
Or the Magic.
Yeah.
Whatever. Wizards? Oh,
the Magic.
Wizards.
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 Wizards?
Yeah, it's the Wizards. I'm being told in my ear that it's the Wizards.
Wizards. Anyway.
Anyways, so The Last Dance.
Yeah.
Good.
There's a lot to talk about here.
Where do you start?
So, okay, here's my thoughts about this whole thing. So, like you said, going into this, I had no context really for the exact events and how they would go. Like I knew kind of vagaries. Like I knew who these people were. I knew just the bare minimum of information about Michael Jordan, Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen, the whole cast of characters here. And so, yeah, I definitely learned a lot about who these people are. And I think overall, my takeaway about the whole thing is really well produced. I think having especially being able to use that footage from the 97-98 season and actually getting really up close footage of the games is really necessary for something like this, especially to the uninitiated like me, because you get to see kind of a different perspective on the game of basketball. Because when it's kind of zoomed out from the telecast point of view, you kind of miss the specifics. You miss a lot of the defense. You miss a lot of the flow of the game if you're not really in it like that footage was. So that, production wise, really excellent job. Subject wise, there's a lot of interesting things that happened over the course of this, and I see why they'd want to do a big sprawling story about it, because there's enough moving parts where it's a fascinating kind of piece of sports history. One thing that I will say that is a failure of the documentary, though, is, man, they set the whole thing up to make you believe that Michael Jordan is this fascinating figure. You know what? By the end of it, he's not that interesting. Literally, he is just a guy who's really talented and really good at what he does, because he has this weird alien drive that nobody else on Earth has, that he has to be the best at every single thing, no matter what. And that makes him extremely petty to the point where literally everything is personal.
At what part during him talking about the plane sequence of playing poker on the back and the front did you pick up on that?
Yeah, it was around that episode, I think, where it was just when they started talking about his gambling and how he would just pick literally anything and everything to gamble on, like the little game of quarters they played.
Yeah.
I'm just this is fascinating, this guy. And then from then on, for the latter half of the series, you could play a drinking game where you had to you had to take a shot every time Michael Jordan said, and then it became personal. or wait, no, I think he specifically said, then it was personal to me.
Just that one little bit made it personal.
Yeah, it made it a little personal to me. And it was something different every single time. It was either a player or a coach or a city. It was just fascinating, how much he needed it. And yeah, he kept repeating over and over again the same thing, which was it fueled me. It made me do this. And I'm just there's only so many times we can have this be the crux of the story.
He's just a competitive guy.
He's just but that's what I'm saying, though, is by the end of it, it was kind of exhausting. It was just yes, we get it. We get who Michael Jordan is. We got there by episode 5, and by episode 10, you're just all right, yes, we know this is who he is. Can we talk about Scottie Pippen some more? I want to learn more about Pippen.
Well, that's why it diverted after episode 5 to doing just a Dennis Rodman episode and just doing a Scottie Pippen episode.
That's the other thing. It was kind of a bait and switch, though, because they would make you think that the entire episode was going to be about this is Scottie Pippen episode.
But it's only the first half hour.
But really, it was just interspersed with more Michael Jordan stuff, because obviously that's the story that they think you're there for.
Well, also Michael Jordan is the executive producer on this thing. He had final say on the final cut.
And that, yeah, is very telling, because it doesn't necessarily paint him as... It's interesting how they portray him in this series, because as much as they want to be oh, he's a real guy who had these issues and was kind of antagonistic with his teammates, but at the same time, we're going to remind you constantly that he's also extremely talented and nobody's better than him. It seemed like this weird balancing act that they were doing throughout the whole thing. And I never really knew how to feel about the guy. And that's, I think, part of why I'm coming out of it like I am, where it was just I don't know how I feel about Michael Jordan. He's yeah, I get he's competitive. Yeah, I get he was angry at people, but when they weren't performing up to his level. But that's not that interesting. I don't know. He's just not like he's not that fascinating as a person. Besides the fact that he was really really good at the game of basketball.
Yeah, but you realize that he was really, really good amongst everyone else who was also really, really good. Like you have to
Yeah,
realize that he knocked out 10 future Hall of Famers out of the playoffs consistently.
yeah. No. I realize that that's an important part of his career, and I realized that he was good. What I'm saying is, as a documentary and as like a piece of television, that's the part that didn't work for me. Everything else, though, like I said, I thought that it was really well produced. I thought the nuts and bolts of the story they were telling about this team and specifically this team's successes was really good and fascinating. I wanted to know more about the inner workings of that stuff and less about Michael Jordan, I guess is what I'm saying. So would have been interested in if they had just maybe like pushed the Michael Jordan stuff to more of the periphery and talked about the team as a whole.
Right, but then it doesn't become a Michael Jordan documentary, it becomes a Bulls documentary.
And so yeah, like I realized that some of that is a personal taste thing to me. But yeah, I don't know. It was interesting though, and it's definitely was a fun thing to look forward to every week. And there was definitely a lot of like enough moments where I was just like this is the best thing I've ever seen. So yeah, no, there was plenty of cool stuff. So as someone who had the context for all of this, what did you think about the series?
I got visual whiplash really quickly
Yeah,
because it started off with the 97-98 season and
yeah,
then almost immediately jump backwards and then go a little bit forward and then
yep,
immediately jump backwards.
yep.
I'd say that is my biggest criticism of it is that yes, I get you need to like set the build up, but can't you set the build up beforehand leading up to it and then have the payoff?
The approach to that felt like I was reading an article in like a sports magazine, like in like Sports Illustrated, because articles are written like that, right? Where it's like it opens with, okay, this event, this really important event, this happened, this happened, this happened. And the next paragraph is, but let's talk about when they first joined the team in 1984. And then it kind of goes into like that. That's how it felt to me, is it felt like they were writing it as if you were reading it. And you're right, like it causes a visual whiplash where you're just like, all right, wait a minute, hold on. So, okay, we're talking about this now. Oh, but we're going to move forward to talk about this really brief thing. And then the craziest thing about it to me was by the end of the series, they've wrapped around so full circle that the last flashback they do is literally like months before. They're like, oh, we're in 98. Let's go back to 97 real fast to tell you how these finals went. And it's just like, all right, like we're there already, weren't we? Like when we started this.
Right, because that's where it initially picked up. But this is going to be labeled The Last Dance. This is the last of Phil Jackson and the last. That's what he labeled the season as.
So somebody was probably like, oh, it'd be really cool if we got full circle by the end. But you're right. It felt a little weird every time they did it because you were just like, all right, well, I'm really enjoying this story. I don't really want to go back and talk about 96 if I don't want to think about 96. I want to go back to 98.
Right. I did also notice that there were at several points where they had to include the interviewer's question in order to either get the soundbite or to get the direct link that they wanted, or at least in the editing phase, the direct link that they wanted to pull out so they could reference something that was backwards.
Yeah. And then that reminds me of my other favorite thing, which I thought it would be great for a drinking game. Every time that they hand Michael Jordan an iPad Pro to make him watch something.
Here, watch this.
Like, see so-and-so talk about this. And then there's like half the time it's just Michael Jordan going like this.
No, that didn't happen. No, that's not how I remember it.
There's that thing where he's just like...
Well, he can say whatever he wants. He's had years to think about it now. It's all hindsight.
And also, was there something up with his eyes?
Oh, that's just years of smoking cigars and doing all the 80s stuff.
I guess so.
Stuff. I mean, he ate a whole pizza by himself.
I mean, speaking as someone who's eaten an entire pizza by himself, you would know something about that.
Yes, I would.
So, okay, to go full circle on our own conversation, what do you think was on that pizza?
I don't think it was anything that the people put on it. I think it just might have been like old meat or something.
Oh no, I'm not even thinking about like whether
Speculation, of course.
I'm just trying to see what you think Michael Jordan orders on a pizza.
Oh, what does Michael order on a pizza?
What do you think Michael Jordan gets on his pizza?
The chat says poison.
like, like what about like?
I don't know. Like I assume it's just a mushroom sausage pizza.
Do you
It's
think it's
either
deep
like
dish?
the mushrooms because they're fungus or
Do you think he
sausage.
does deep dish because Chicago?
You think there'd be a deep dish in Denver or Utah?
There's a deep dish places here. Like, why wouldn't there be a deep dish
Yeah,
place in
deep
Utah?
dish.
A deep dish. I think he gets a deep dish pizza. I think he gets mushrooms. I think he gets sausage. I think he gets,
Peppers of some sort.
yeah, like peppers, and that's probably it.
A Michael Jordan pizza.
That's a Michael Jordan pizza. Anyway, anything else to say about The Last Dance before we move on? Are we gonna watch Lance next week?
Yes, we already have our tickets purchased for Lance. Part 1 and part 2, also with B Water.
Wait, you
And
need
then
to
also
purchase
with
tickets?
Hmm?
What tickets?
Yeah, my proverbial 30 for 30 tickets. You know how they do like the little ticket.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, our tickets reserved for that.
All right. So
But no, I really liked The Last Dance. Expect this to sweep all the Emmy Awards when it comes out.
maybe we'll see.
Maybe. But yeah, it was really insightful. I liked it. I learned a lot. I did notice how they mainly focused on 5 key players or 4 key players, being Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, and then Phil Jackson and Steve Kerr.
Yeah, one random episode towards the end where it's like, yeah, I guess we should talk about Steve Kerr.
Well, because Steve Kerr was there for 4 years.
Yeah.
5 years? 6. What? Can I do math? 93 to 97. 4 years. 5 years. But yeah, I mean, he was there. He helped Michael Jordan win championships. Also, he's there because of the name Steve Kerr that people know from the Warriors, and also like the coach of the Warriors wearing the Warriors garb.
In case you didn't catch it, like,
yeah, in case you didn't know who Steve Kerr was.
Yeah.
But I think that's a main thing to take away is that like there were clearly other players involved in those championship teams, but they didn't get either as much say or as much input into like being interviewed or being shown.
Or they just figured that if they were going to do it at all, they would focus on the bigger names.
And I think that's the thing that like Tony Kukoc, who was like a monster player for them, was only mentioned a handful of times.
Yeah.
And that's either Jordan's doing or the fact that Steve Kerr is just a better interviewer.
Yeah.
It gives them better sound bites.
Bigger name, too.
Yeah, he is the bigger name, it's bigger draw. And it's also why he was on the poster.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Should we ask the chat if they have any thoughts on The Last Dance?
Yeah.
I was going to interject until you said exactly what I was going to say. And Steve Kerr actually said that the day after the last episode. He's like, it shouldn't have been me on the poster. Like, it should be Tony Kukoc because he was probably the 3rd best offensive player on those teams.
Yeah.
He said I get that I'm I'm famous for being the coach of the Warriors and everything, but Tony Kukoc was the man for them. So
yeah, well, I saw that online too, and had this people talking about chat that do Tony Kukoc and Michael Jordan have any beefs as to why they're not?
I don't think
he wouldn't be there.
No, I bet that's a producer choice.
He's just it's what she said. He's just not a good interviewer. He's Eastern European. He's,
right.
He just doesn't translate as well on camera as Steve Kerr, I guess. So,
extremely.
I mean, they covered his when he had to go against the Dream Team and stuff, and they basically just bullied him. But,
right, but you could also see something like that on Two Brothers.
Yeah, exactly.
The other ESPN 30 for 30 doc.
Yeah.
As they cover that.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. It's certain guys got more mention, I think, just because they would be more interesting for the documentary. So,
Anything else?
I loved it. It's exactly what the sports world needed at this moment when we're deprived. And as a kid growing up in that era who watched Michael Jordan play but didn't really follow as much of the backstory, it was very interesting to really see like the details behind it and like what actually maybe happened for the flu game or
The Hangover game.
the Hangover game, or like Scottie Pippen's kind of drama interspersed, and Dennis Rodman's antics. It's like, as a kid, I didn't know any of that was going on. You were just like, oh, the Bulls are awesome. And so it was really, I really enjoyed it. And it made me think that the next one they'll probably do is Kobe, which will be a lot sadder, obviously, given but I loved it, and I'm very sad it's over.
I have to say too, kind of on the flip side, like I'm a big basketball fan, so I knew most of those stories coming into it, and I knew obviously like the results of a lot of those games, but it's still like super gripping, even if you know like how everything goes, basically.
Right, and that's part of good storytelling and good editing, good directing.
Right.
I have a lot of friends too who don't give a flying F about basketball too, who have been living and dying by watching it too. So it appeals to everybody, which is awesome. They need to have more of those right now.
Well, I don't know about right now, but yeah, they got to put those together. But yeah, we're like living in an era where we can like some people who don't have kids or do have kids can say, oh, they were great back in my day. You know, as our parents and grandparents told us, like, oh, I remember watching so-and-so play way back in the day. Like, we have finally crossed that threshold. Michael Jordan.
Got there. Anyway. All right.
Yeah. Said your piece? I don't know if you guys want to add more.
We're good on
or get into it. Get real into it.
No, that's okay. We can move on.
All right. So, yeah, Last Dance, really good.
Yeah.
Definitely check it
overall, I
out.
enjoyed it.
ESPN Plus. There's your plug.
Yeah, ESPN Plus. Go sign up. I haven't yet.
Still.
Again, I just don't have time. Anyway, let's move on. Anything else television that we want to talk about before we move into cancellations and renewals?
Real quickly, I will have thoughts next week on The Masked Singer, as that is the finale happening tonight. And then also on Ultimate Tag, hosted by the Watt Brothers, which is premiering tonight right after The Masked Singer.
Yep, because that's all they got is game shows.
Yep. And Fox released its promo that's going to be the summer of Gordon Ramsay. As this summer, we're going to get Hell's Kitchen, MasterChef, and Gordon Ramsay 24 hours. The hell and back.
Yep, because they probably got them. They're ready to go, and
they're in the can. So, yep. Yes, MasterChef this summer. Be ready.
I'm so excited.
All right, let's move on to cancellations then.
Let's move on. Cancellations and renewals.
All right, what am I no longer watching?
Quick. NBC is bringing back A Little Late with Lily Singh for a second season. Treadstone on USA, canceled after one season. The Purge, the television show, canceled on USA after 2 seasons. The Good Fight on CBS All Access, coming back for a 5th season. CBS All Access is bringing a spin-off to Star Trek Discovery called Star Trek Strange New Worlds for at least 1 season. Strange. ABC, as you mentioned, is bringing back American Idol for a 4th ABC season, which would be a 19th total overall season. Good Girls is coming back to NBC for a 4th season. FX is bringing back Breeders for a 2nd season. Gentrified is coming back for a 2nd season on Netflix. Last Man Standing coming back for a 9th season on Fox.
That is shocking.
Shockingly.
I can't help you with movies on
Shut-
Fox now. Sorry.
That
Siri, I
is
know
shocking.
Okay. What else? The Resident getting a 4th season on Fox. Everything's Gonna Be Okay getting a 2nd season on Freeform. Motherland: Fort Salem getting a 2nd season on Freeform. Those are your cancellations and renewals. Lastly, let's talk briefly about deaths. Gregory Tyree Boyce, age 30. That's young. Actor, I guess, was in one of the Twilight movies. Ken Osmond, age 76. Actor, was in Leave It to Beaver.
He was Eddie Haskell in Leave It to Beaver.
And then lastly, the big one this week. Comedian, actor, star in Best in Show, Modern Family, you name it, was the president of the world in WALL-E, right?
Yes.
Among other classic roles, we'll miss him. Fred Willard, age 86.
Yes. In the very few live action things they filmed for Pixar, he is one of them.
He's one of them. So yeah, there you go. Those are your deaths this week.
Yep.
Let's flip the script and turn it over to music.
All right. Well, we start music with the Billboard, and we start the Billboard with the Hot 100.
How hot is it?
And your hottest 100 number one single is "Stuck with You" by Ariana Grande and Justin Bieber.
Yes.
Not a shocker at all.
Although there is some drama about this, which we'll get to in the news.
All right. Number 2, "Say So" by Doja Cat featuring Nicki Minaj. Number 3, "Gooba" by 6ix9ine.
Yeah.
Number 4, "Blinding Lights" by The Weeknd. And number 5, "Savage" by Megan Thee Stallion. But really, it's Beyonce.
Not Megan Thee Stallion.
I did that last week too.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah, I did that last week too. Megan Thee Stallion. All right. So let's move on to your Billboard 200, your albums chart.
Yep.
Number 1, "Good Intentions" by NAV or NAV.
Yeah, I don't know.
Number 2, "It Was Good Until It Wasn't" by Kalani. Number 3, "Dark Lane Tempo Tapes" by Drake.
Demo tapes.
Number 4, "My Turn" by Lil Baby. And number 5, "Just 'Cause Y'all Waited" by Lil Durk.
Just because y'all waited too. It's the sequel.
Yes, it's the sequel to "Just 'Cause Y'all Waited."
Yeah. We've been waiting. Lil Durk delivered.
Just 'Cause Y'all Waited, he made another one. "Just 'Cause Y'all Waited too."
Just because y'all waited. All right, but I don't want to listen to any of that. What am I listening to this week?
I don't know what you're listening to, but here are the new releases.
Okay.
We have "Banana Skin Shoes" by Badly Drawn Boy. "Look Long" by Indigo Girls. "Ghosts of West Virginia" by Steve Earle and the Dukes. "Notes on a Conditional Form" by the 1975. And lastly, "Hollywood Park" by the Airborne Toxic Event. Yes, those Airborne
Yeah.
Toxic Events.
When I saw
not
that-
the current Airborne Toxic
Yeah,
Event.
when I saw that, I had a moment where I was like, oh yeah, the Airborne Toxic event. I remember them.
Yeah, you remember them sometime around midnight.
Exactly.
Usually when they creep in my head.
Alrighty, let's deliver some news here.
All right, let's start with some news, with some chart drama.
Yep.
As you briefly mentioned, "Stuck with You" by Ariana Grande and Justin Bieber. The song actually benefited First Responders Children's Foundation by debuting number 1 on the Billboard's Hot 100, while 6ix9ine's comeback "Gooba," which claims to be the fastest video by an American artist to hit 100 million views, opens at number 3. 6ix9ine, the rapper, asserted in a 4-minute-long Instagram story rant that an unnamed entity working on behalf of Ariana Grande, who, along with Justin Bieber, who is managed by Scooter Braun, purchased 60,000 units of the song, quote, at the last minute, using 6 credit cards in order to boost the song's chart position. He doesn't make mention of Bieber by name. Of Billboard's chart engine, Nielsen Music MRC, 6ix9ine says, quote, you can buy number ones on Billboard. You got caught cheating red-handed. The rant garnered 4.5 million views within 3 hours. Quote, sales counts for more than strings responded Ariana Grande on Instagram. And indeed they do, because the sale of download, a purchase of, a 99-cent entity of an album, or $5 of an album, of a song, 99 cents for the song, $10 for an album, entitles an artist to a percentage typically of 10% or more versus a stream, which counts as a fraction of a penny. In fact, on the less complicated formula that governs the Billboard 200 album charts, 1,250 paid streams equals 1 album sales. But the Hot 100s blend, which includes radio play, is a bit fuzzier, as Billboard published on a handy explainer today. And also, as we have talked about several cases on this very podcast, especially when they switched from mainly recording album scales to having to record digital sales and digital streaming on Spotify and YouTube.
Yeah, it's a complicated system that they've got going for streaming numbers now. And so it's weird that this is the first time that we've really seen like beef come out of this, because we had the DJ Khaled stuff where he was like, oh, I can't believe I didn't get number one. But at least he wasn't like accusing the number one album that week being like of buying a bunch of records with 6 credit cards.
Well, it's not even buying an album; it's buying a single, buying a song.
In this case, I'm just comparing the two. But
yeah,
in this case, I just think it's the funniest thing that this guy, just because he's all butthurt about not getting number one, even though he had the streaming numbers, like he's all just like feels like he needs to make this point. It's like, no, they bought it. Which, who knows? Probably not, I would guess. But one thing I will say about this is that if anybody is going to buy themselves a number one hit, Scooter Braun is probably at the top of that list.
I would definitely put Scooter Braun at the top of that list. I mean, he bought a whole country album just to spite one person.
Yeah, right. So I don't know who to believe here. Because 6ix9ine is we've talked about him before, aka Tekashi 6ix9ine, is a well-known piece of trash. And
yes. Also notice how he ended up with the number 3 single this week, meaning that even Say So by Doja Cat and Nicki Minaj would still beat him out.
Right, yeah. So who knows if the math supports any of this. I think that he's probably just angry. But still, fascinating when you get to like a couple of artists like going to blows over the charts like this. It's rare.
Right, but also notice that even if this was purchased via iTunes or whatever, like purchased, that some of that money is still going towards benefiting First Responders Children's Foundation.
Which is pretty cool.
That could also be why, even though the numbers may seem inflated, they're still, at least it's going to a good cause and not just directly into the artist's pockets.
Yeah, that's good. All right.
I can see why he would have such beef with it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not going to affect his standings.
No.
Not going to affect all the stuff that he, is accused of and has done.
Yeah, he's kind of the worst, so who cares?
Yeah,
moving on.
He's got that huge 6ix9ine on his face that needs to be taken care of first.
It is not nice.
No, we have established that here.
Not nice.
Anyways, Lorde's third album is in the works.
Yay!
Yes, the singer revealed in a chatty email to fans on Wednesday that Lorde is currently working on her third album. Quote, I started going back to the studio again in December just for something to do. And to my surprise, Good things came out, she wrote. Happy, playful things. I felt my melodic muscles flexing and strengthening. She said that she and Jack Antonoff, one of our favorites, Jack
Jack
Antonoff,
Antonoff.
who collaborated on her sophomore album, Melodrama, as well as Taylor Swift, Lana Del Rey, Pink, basically you name it. He's probably
everybody. The Dixie Chicks,
Dixie Chicks
most
currently.
recently.
Will be meeting up in her native New Zealand and Los Angeles to work on it. Quote, as things started to take shape, and then, of course, the world shuts down. We're still working away. Jack and I FaceTimed for over an hour this morning, going over everything, but it'll take a while longer.
Yeah.
But hey, new Lorde album coming out.
Yeah. So the good news is that it exists. They've started recording it, and it's almost done. The bad news is that because of the pandemic, it's going to take a while longer to finish it. So yeah, because if I learned anything from the that Miss Americana documentary about Taylor Swift, literally Jack Antonoff's style is for them to just sit around in the studio throwing ideas at the wall.
And if I learned anything listening to the Charli XCX album, you shouldn't make an album in 30 days.
All right. Okay, I want to hear what you think about this. Let's pivot to thoughts. We both listened to Charli XCX, How I'm Feeling Now, which is her quarantine record.
Yes, she made this album in 30 to 40 days. Basically, She started it in April and put it out last week.
Yep.
So, yeah, April to May. Yeah, basically 30 days. Call it roughly
More or less.
50 days. So, I have to be reminded, do we like Charli XCX?
So here's my take on Charli XCX. I think that she is very talented. I think she's a really interesting pop songwriter. She has a couple different modes. She can either be write very really straightforward pop songs, like her big radio singles. But then she also has this like experimental streak to her. And that seems to be what she's embracing recently, as opposed to kind of the mainstream stuff. She did the mainstream stuff. It didn't hit the way that I think that the record labels wanted it to. And so she kind of retreated. And now she's kind of hanging out with these more avant-garde artists and doing these more interesting experimental kind of recordings. And I can kind of appreciate both sides of the Charli coin. I like when she's doing more like mainstream singles, but I also like her kind of playing around with sounds like this. There are some Charli XCX fans I know personally, though, that are not that way, that much prefer her just going straight down the middle and are not as into the more experimental leaning work. So, but I personally, I think she's pretty cool. I liked most things that she's done.
Okay. Because when I listened to this album, I had the thought creep into my head that, wow, never in my life have I listened to an album and immediately hated the artist in such a quick fashion. Because
oh no,
playing from this song from the beginning, or playing this album from the very first song, Pink Diamond, yeah, industrial up the wazoo. You're definitely not ready for it. It hits you like a ton of bricks, and you're like, wait, what the hell did I put on? Is this really what I'm I'm hearing? But I will say, she goes hard in the paint.
It's true.
Or whatever that lyric is that she's typing it in. I go hard, I go hard, I go hard. Like a pink diamond.
Yeah.
I think those are the lyrics to it.
I mean, it's interesting. It's an interesting choice as a first track because it's definitely like, all right, this is what this is, like it or not. Like,
it's not even just like the first track. It's like within the first 10 seconds that it just hits you like, here's hard industrial sounds.
Yeah.
Like stuff I haven't heard since college when I was listening to that stuff.
Yeah, but it's combined with like pop song structure, which I think is what makes it interesting to me.
Like interesting and experimental, but also
real quick, there's some context to this kind of era of Charlie that maybe you're not aware of. So there's a movement on the internet of like kind of avant-garde, like experimental kind of pop that calls itself PC music. The PC doesn't necessarily stand for anything. That's just what they call them. And the guy who I guess started the PC music whole thing has been working with Charlie on the last couple records she's put out. Like they've like had this partnership going. And like their whole deal is this abrasive kind of thing. Remember a couple weeks ago when I talked about 100 Gex
Yes.
on this podcast? That they can't come from the same world. Where it's very much like, I don't know, let's just throw a bunch of stuff on the wall and like let's just maximalist pop design is basically what they go for. And so that's the kind of world that this is coming from. So maybe the lack of context there is what's throwing you off, or maybe you just don't like any of that. Like maybe you
I mean, even with given that context, yeah, I can see where it's coming from. That doesn't mean that I understand it, that I'm still gonna like it.
Yeah, maybe you don't listen to 100 Gex because you probably wouldn't like it then.
No, I mean, I listened to this album twice because I thought I heard it wrong the first time.
Nope.
But no,
Nope.
like it is that heavy. Like at certain points, I thought, wait, is this Charli XCX the DJ or the singer? Because at certain times, she just kept repeating the same phrase over and over. So I'm like, oh, it's just she's DJing, just putting the same button of her repeating the same phrase while mixing her own sound.
Not what you would think as like a singer. Is she does pretty much, like, she has collaborators, but she does a lot of the production herself. She's very much like a one-stop shop.
Well, being in quarantine, yeah, you kind of have to do the production yourself here.
So that's the interesting
Which
thing.
she flew her boyfriend of 7 years out to work on the album with.
Yes.
I think that's what you're going with, right?
Together. So yeah, this is the first time they've actually worked on a record and cohabitated at the same time. So yeah.
Isn't that weird? Because like some of the songs are directly about him, like 7 years.
Yeah, right. It's like it's interesting to kind of hear that, like that kind of push and pull.
Like, hey, I'm writing a song about you and I'm singing it to you while you're here.
So that's actually a good segue to like the actual content of the songs, because it's not just a quarantine album in the way that it was made. It's also very explicitly a quarantine album in the subject matter. Like there are songs here about missing her friends and feeling that need to go out and party and she just can't. And like you said, like living with a significant other during all of this and like talking about their relationship as it stands and as it stood before. And I actually thought a lot of that stuff was really touching. Like I thought like lyrically there was a lot of stuff that she was really getting at that really got me the time I was listening to it. I was just like, yeah, no, that's hit the nail on the head, Charlie. Like that's how we're all feeling right now. It's just like we have this like need for a connection that we just can't. It's out of our reach. We just
I agree. Like the lyrics are there. Like in between like the car crash and the Transformers fighting, they're there.
Are you saying this is produced by Michael Bay?
Yes, that was literally going to be my next joke. Yes, I haven't heard this much carnage since Transformers and Linkin Park's Shadow something.
All right. Well, if it's any consolation, then if you didn't care for this, I have a little bit of cultural exchange for you. I have a recommendation for you. And I don't know if you are familiar with
Across this new divide. New divide. That's what it's called. New divide. I had to like go through the chorus.
I have a country adjacent artist for you guys to check out. Her name is Jess Williamson. We mentioned her record last week. I strongly recommend you guys check that out. The record she put out last week, Sorceress. It's very much in the kind of vein of a Casey Musgraves, like Golden Hour kind of vibe to it. It's kind of witchy, kind of supernatural, but also very country. I think you guys should check it out.
Okay, Jess Williamson.
Yeah, Jess Williamson.
All right.
That's the other thing I listened to this week. Talk about the complete opposite sonically, but I enjoyed both of them. So I don't know. Your mileage may vary.
Your mileage may vary indeed.
But I think if you didn't like this, you probably will like that.
Okay. I'll check out Sorceress by Jess Williamson.
All right. Let's move on then.
All right. Let's move on to our last segment here with video games.
Yes.
All right. We have new releases still. Games are being pumped out still.
Somehow.
With Total Tank Simulator for the PC.
I wonder what you do in that game.
This is based on the White Sox 1919 World Series, where you totally tank
Totally
the
tank.
series.
My joke was
some
going to
baseball.
be. My joke was going to be it's adapted from that reality show Tanked, where you have to build somebody a giant aquarium in their house.
Oh, the other one could be with a Shark Tank Simulator.
Oh yeah,
Where you get
where you're Mark
the
Cuban.
virtual Mark Cuban.
We went the same place. All right. Anyway.
We also have What the Golf on the Switch. Saints Row the Third: Remastered for the PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Man Eater for the PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC.
That's that game where you're a killer shark.
No, that's that game where you're God, what's his name? He's in there. Hall and Oates.
Yeah.
You're Hall chasing Oates.
No, you're a shark in that game. It seems kind of crazy.
Okay. We also have Minecraft Dungeons for the PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC.
Yep.
And if you've recently logged into Amazon at any point, Crucible for the PC has been blaring ads in your face.
Yep, it's out there.
That, of course, is an Amazon.
Yeah,
Games
they're making a huge deal out of that thing. It's the first major release from Amazon Game Studios, so we'll see if it's good.
I know. I have like 5 ads on 6 devices.
Yeah, and they took out like a store, like they took out like a front page story in like some sort of newspaper. Like, I wonder where they paid that. Wonder how they
Post you, baby.
Anyway,
That Jeff Bezos synergy.
Yeah, oh boy. All right.
Anyways, we have video game news. So
there
last
is no
week,
news this week.
what?
There is no news this week. So these are 2 deep cuts.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. Because as last week we talked about Tony Hawk being remastered for Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. Well, the remaster is going to have most of our favorite songs of the series from it. With Activision confirming on Kotaku that only 5 songs won't be in the final release. The playlist currently only has 18 songs on it, while the soundtracks for the original 2 Tony Hawk games had a total of 26 songs. Notably absent are Bring the Noise by Anthrax and Public Enemy and Sicko Vision by Suicidal Tendencies, or as me and my sisters heard it as children, Psycho Fishes.
So I kept that in there because that's hilarious to me. But honestly, I don't have personal like I have to be honest. I played Tony Hawk 1 on the Nintendo 64, and that version notably didn't have the complete soundtrack. PlayStation kids heard the whole thing, and 64 kids did not. So I don't have the affinity for the soundtrack that I think a lot of people who played the game do. So is there anything that you're particularly excited to hear again, or?
No, because even though I did play 1 and 2, I owned 3 and basically had to rent out 1 and 2, Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, wherever. But because I owned 3, I played 3 a lot.
That's the one you have the nostalgia for.
So that's the one that I have the most nostalgia for.
Got it. Okay. All right.
Than 1 and 2.
So we just aren't. We're just really the wrong audience for this.
Maybe, but that being said, that is one of the hardest things to get from a remastered is the soundtrack. Like as we've noted here from Rock Band, most notably, getting the soundtrack for past songs when licensing runs out can be a bit of a bitch.
So yeah, I mean, hey, good towards Activision to actually going out and doing the work to get most of the soundtrack, though. That's pretty cool. I feel like there's not going to be that many people that feel jilted. I think most people are going to be like, hey, they got most of them.
Yeah,
So-
but you know, as with the controls, and them controls feeling correctly when you play it, part of making a good remaster is having that nostalgia for the songs that come on when you're playing certain levels.
They had to do it. They had to get Superman, and they
Yep.
got Superman.
They got
So-
the Superman.
We're all good. All right. Second story.
All right, second story is about the Epic Games Store.
Yep.
As it is offering partial refunds to those who recently purchased a game shortly before it went on sale.
Yeah.
Game director and designer of Mayday Studios, Joshua Boggs, posted an email from Epic Games Store, which said it was issuing a partial refund for recent purchases that Boggs made. Quote, you recently placed orders from the Epic Games Store. The price of the games you purchased were recently lowered, so we're issuing partial refunds for the difference. End quote. It's always a little disheartening when you take the plunge and invest in a new game only for it to go on sale mere days later. This partial refund certainly makes up for the bad timing, and it welcomes new players who miss out on big discounts.
Yeah.
I like that Epic Games is doing this.
Mhm.
You know, I think more studios should be doing this, or more platforms that, hey, I bought this game and then 2 days later, there's a 30% discount on it. How was I supposed to know that you were going to have a summer sale or a Japan sale and like all of a sudden all these games are on sale now?
Yeah. Or the way more severe version, which I experienced last year when I bought MLB The Show 19 for full price, only to have 2 weeks later it go free for PlayStation Plus.
Right, that too.
Yeah. So no, this is cool. I hope that stores like Steam and maybe even the console stores maybe do something like this. But Epic is in a unique space where they have the money to do so. So
See, I thought the story was going to be about GTA 5 going free.
no, we don't need to be a freaking buyer's guide here at the Media Boat Podcast, so we don't need to say every time when some game is free. But yeah, if you didn't already know, all this week, so for the rest of this week, you can get GTA 5, the PC version, for free on the Epic Game Store. I don't have a PC that can run it, though, so it means nothing to me.
No, but this gives a big middle finger to all you who bought it 5 years ago. Yeah, I get it for free now. Woo!
Not how it works.
Totally how that works.
Not how that works. All right.
All right.
Any video games you've been playing?
No, but Nintendo did release a full video on the 51 classic games, or what's it called? Board Game Classics 51.
Oh, yeah, the Clubhouse. Games.
Yeah, Clubhouse Games 51. And did a big showcase on all those games. And yeah, I'm going to get that when it comes out next month.
Speaking of Nintendo announcements, I realized that I thought we had talked about it last week, but I guess we didn't. Nintendo also announced a new Paper Mario this past
that was Thursday, I believe.
Yeah. So right after we recorded this. Yeah, I didn't put it as a whole news story because there's really not much to say right now. They showed one trailer, and it looks like a Paper Mario game for Switch. It looks like it's called The Origami King, and it looks like it's similar to the older games, but it's super unclear whether or not that means a battle system like Thousand Year Door. It seems like there may be some sort of new battle mechanic where you're in a 3D space and you're lining up attacks to like hit multiple enemies at once. And it does appear that there's some sort of sticker mechanic like the 3DS game, because there was a screenshot somebody like found from the trailer that was like the move you were doing was like a sticker-esque, like you're using one of these things. So I don't know exactly how it's going to work. My hope is that it's closer to the original two games and not as, weird as the two that came after.
Right, because you personally like Thousand Year Door. That's your favorite
Yeah.
Mario game.
Those old games are so good. Those first two are excellent. And yeah, if they make another one of those, awesome. I'm all on board. But until I know more, I'm afraid to get my hopes up in case it's another disappointment because I've been burned twice now.
Yeah, no, I watched that trailer too, and it got me interested in purchasing it, maybe. But I will be getting that Clubhouse 51 games because It's 51 games. Oh yeah.
All right. Well, that's all. I haven't been playing anything, so yeah, we can wrap this.
I've just been playing a lot of Lego. Maybe too much Lego, but
Too much.
as I say, never enough.
Too much Lego. I
Never
hear
enough
Lego Ninjago is free right now.
Yeah, like I'm going to play that. I mean, I'm going to download it, so eventually maybe.
Yeah.
But
All right, let's wrap it up.
all right, let's finish this up here.
All right, thank you for joining us for the marooned edition of the Media Boat Podcast. If you want to listen to us, you can catch us on podcast services such as Apple Podcasts by searching Media Boat Podcast in your feed. You can find this episode and archived episodes from our past. On youtube.com, that's where you can see video archives of both our live shows pre-maroon and our current marooned shows, so you can see our fun mugs as we're talking.
You can also see our hair grow out too.
And our hair. There's a lot of it. You can also find us on social media channels like Twitter. We are at MediaBoatCast. Facebook, where you can search Media Boat Podcast and find our page, like, comment, etc. Whatever you want to do. Email us at mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com if you have questions, comments, improvements, whatever you got. And you can find us playing video games every once in a while on twitch.tv/MediaBoat. And that's it.
Yep, and that's it. This is your final reminder to purchase HBO now,
Yeah.
HBO Max.
No, don't purchase HBO now, although I guess it will roll over into a
It will
Max.
roll over, but if you go to HBO Max, you can get that discount of 12 months for $12.
Yeah.
But also look into it because you may already get HBO Max when it comes out. You know, if you're already paying for it through Spectrum, YouTube, Google, Charter,
So
some other place.
as a PSA real quick, I ended up going in YouTube TV and checking to see if they had added HBO yet. They still have not. As of this recording, HBO is still not an option. So I don't know when they're intending on rolling that out.
It might be a day of thing.
Might be a day
Or
out.
like the day before.
So yeah, we'll see. I'll check again after this recording. But yeah, it does. Last time I checked, it was not up there. Just to let you guys know.
Yep.
Alrighty.
But yeah, if you have any questions on that, just go to hbomax.com and they have like all your questions at the bottom, like the whole AFK.
Yep.
Or FAQ.
AFK, FAQ,
BIG,
WTF.
MICKEY.
All right. Goodbye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you guys next week.